Back to the old murder and thievery. Love it. Hey everyone, welcome back to Leandra the TBR0. I'm Leandra, and today I thought you guys would enjoy a murder mystery themed video vlog for the first week of February. Funnily enough, my first two reads of February ended up both being murder mysteries, but with a nautical background. The first book I ended up reading was Death on the Nile by Agatha Christie, obviously because the film is coming out, but also because it was the monthly pick for hashtag Read Christie 2022. And the second book after that ended up being Murder on B-Deck by Vincent Starrett. I got that book through my subscription to the Mysterious Bookshop. They have a few subscriptions, but this one's for the American Mystery Classics. So here are my two murder mysteries that I ended up reading for the first week of February. And I had a really fun experience, especially since I've never really participated in a video vlog before. So it was really fascinating to give my instant reactions to these books, especially since the mysteries in them were really hard to follow in regards to me guessing who the murderers were. So I hope that you enjoy the video, cozy up with a beverage, and maybe I'll inspire you guys to pick up either of these titles in the near future. So enjoy! Hey everyone, the first book that I decided to read for this vlog is Death on the Nile, and I am about 75 pages in, and no murder has occurred just yet. I'm eating some nice stir fry. Oh my gosh, look at that. Can you see the steam? It's looking really nice on my end. But anyway, there are a lot of characters being named, and I made a list because I'm trying to figure out who's who and why they're important. But we've got Lynette Ridgway, Jacqueline de Bellefort, or Jackie, Simon Doyle, Joanna Southwood, her cousin Tim Allerton, and Tim's mom. We have old Miss Van Schuyler and like her niece or cousin Cornelia Robson, Rosalie Otterborn, and Mrs. Otterborn, Rosalie's mom, Mr. Pennington, and a few other characters. Did I mention Hercule Poirot? Because he's there too, obviously. So right now we're just introducing all the characters. They're not on the cruise yet, but they're at some hotel or resort in preparation for taking the cruise. And to be honest, I'm not feeling impatient about when the murder's gonna happen. You know, sometimes there's this expectation for mysteries to have the murder or the theft or whatever the crime's going to be to occur pretty quickly, whether it's the first chapter or the second. But for some reason, Agatha Christie just knows how to pace her novels, and I'm almost a third of the way through the book actually, and the murder still hasn't happened, and I just don't care because I'm just interested in the relationships and the craziness going on with the characters. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it so far, and I've got a nice weekend ahead of me, and I plan on giving you guys an update maybe when I'm 2/3 of the way through, after the murders occurred, but obviously we're still far away from what's going to happen next. So stay tuned. Second update for Death on the Nile, and yes, there has finally been a murder. It happened around page 130-ish or 140, which is almost at the halfway point of the novel, and that's kind of crazy. Usually, as I said, I think in my last update, that the death happens in the first couple chapters, but I love it when an author, especially Christie, who definitely can pull it off, tries to push the limits to see how long they can keep the reader's attention until the body finally happens to show up. And I'm on page 210, so we've been in the thick of it for a while, and really not much progress has happened in the case, except that we know for a fact that the person who is most likely to have done it could not have. And that's Jacqueline de Bellefort, the woman who basically was declaring to everyone that she wanted Lynette dead because Lynette had stolen her fiance, Simon. So because we know she couldn't have shot Lynette, now Poirot and Colonel Race, his kind of acting assistant in this case, are trying to figure out who else has motive, who else fits the timeline, especially since so many other chaotic events were happening. Someone else was shot during that time but survived. Someone else had thrown something over the deck and they heard running about on the boat. And so really they're just trying to figure out what happened exactly, in what order, and who's lying and who's telling the truth. I have about 100 pages to go, so I may end up finishing it tonight. If I do, I'll give you an update, but if not, I'll be finishing this mystery in the morning. In the meantime, though, I'll be enjoying the murder mystery a bit longer and drinking a bit of wine with it. Tastes like murder. Wish me luck. I just finished Agatha Christie's Death on the Nile, and it was so fun. I'm really glad that I ended up holding off and finishing the mystery for the morning because so much happened that I wanted to be aware of it. There were 2 more murders that occurred, and they happened in such different ways. One of them was only realized after a person went missing and they couldn't find them, so then they ended up discovering that that person was murdered. And then the third murder that happened occurred right in front of Poirot and Colonel Race, like literally as they were speaking to that person, and yet they still had to figure out who could have done it and where they ran off to afterwards. So it was just really high intensity stuff right up into the end. I found the solution brilliant. I really enjoyed it. I felt like I had an inkling about a few of the things that went down, but of course, there's no way that I personally could have figured out half of the other things. And I think that's why so many people really enjoy this title, why so many people find it to be one of her best works. And I totally agree. It definitely has the same caliber as Murder on the Orient Express or The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, which are 2 other really well-known and well-hyped books. I also really appreciated Christie's writing of the characters. I don't think I really noticed it in other books before, maybe because I was too tied up with the mystery, but she does such a good job with giving character details, especially because her novels are quite short. That's the classic style for detective fiction, is that these books are, you know, typically in little pocketbook sized, like 200 pages, 250 pages. So it's quite impressive that you feel like you know the characters enough. And there were some that I really loved. I totally rooted for them, no matter what they wanted in life or what they wanted to do. And I really appreciated that. I also found in this book many progressive women characters in regards to the positive attributes that they're given. For instance, you know, their brilliant intelligence, their strong demeanors. And I really liked that. And I think that Christie does that a lot, even though she is also well known for being anti-feminist. So that's in its own weird thing. The only thing that you might want to know going into this is that, unsurprisingly, there are some derogatory comments towards the native populations that they encounter on their trips. And that's something that, unfortunately, occurred during that time. It still occurs today. So when you're reading this, just be aware that that is an element to this book. I still think it's brilliant and I still thoroughly enjoyed it. I just thought that it would be important to add that. But anyway, so I've finished my first book of February and I'm really happy with it. This is definitely a 4-star or 5-star read. I'm not really sure what I'm going to rank it when I fill out my bullet journal. But yeah, I'm really, really happy that I found a way to read another Christie book because I haven't read one in a while. And on to book 2. Wish me luck. Hey everyone, before we get into Murder on B Deck, I just wanted to remind you that if you're enjoying yourselves, please give this video a like and consider subscribing to my channel. If you're enjoying this and want to see more content like it, also give me a comment so that I know to continue doing video vlogs in the future, whether it be murder mystery themed or I could try something else. But thank you for spending some time with me. Okay, enjoy the rest of the video. Bye guys! I'm about 40 pages into Murder on B Deck and I'm really enjoying it so far. We have our protagonist, Malik, who pretty much acts like a Watson or Hastings type of character, and that's basically in assistance to Walter Ghost, who is this mysterious, very ugly man, and yet he's already been discussed as someone who has a lot of knowledge in psychology and observation. And actually when the murder occurs, which is just where I finished, he is asked to help immediately. So even the ship staff know that he knows what he's doing and that he's apparently done this type of thing before. But I'm really enjoying the fact that this has got so much metafiction in it. I'm a sucker for any type of metafiction. It's probably why If on a Winter's Night, a Traveler is one of my favorite books of all time. And it's also probably why I love detective fiction so much, not only because the mysteries are so fun, but they tend to reflect on themselves as a genre more often than any other genre I've ever experienced. Agatha Christie has been known to do it, and so has John Dixon Carr. I just read a book by him last month, and one of his characters was a detective fiction novelist. So naturally, the characters all discuss the difference between the dramatic murders expected in written form versus those that happen in real life. And we're seeing that in this book as well. So with Murder on B Deck, we have this ship, the Latakia, and Malik, by accident, finds himself on this ship because he was supposed to leave at midnight since the ship was then supposed to depart at that time. But, you know, crazy circumstances occur and he ends up stuck on the boat. But he's stuck on the boat with a few friends of his, including his sister, as well as Walter Ghost. And all of this is quite coincidental. He decides to take the opportunity to write his next detective fiction novel based on that ship. And while he's contemplating how to design the plot, who to murder, he is inspired by those who are actually guests on this cruise. And the woman he decides to murder in his book is a baroness, but he's inspired by a countess who actually is on the boat. And so as he's revealing the first chapter to an audience of friends and family on the boat, they are notified that the countess has been murdered. So you know a whole bunch of chaos is going to ensue, especially since one of our protagonists wrote at least the beginning of a novel where the countess basically dies herself. So, you know, you're already wondering how she ends up dying and why, but also what are the chances that he pretty much prophesized that this woman was going to die. I'm just really enjoying it so far, and I'm really enjoying the characters. So we'll see if the hype that I'm feeling for this, personally, will stick to the end. So yeah, wish me luck. I am halfway through Murder on B Deck and I'm really still loving it. The main detective, Walter Ghost, is honestly such a good character. He is clever and thoughtful and observant, but he's also very believable in his own personal doubts and the way he is processing information, or at least trying to think in his head what his next steps should be. And yeah, I just find it quite authentic and a bit different from the typical, Holmes, Poirot type of scene. So I'm really appreciating him, and I still am enjoying the humorous callbacks to just the detective fiction genre in general. Multiple times in conversation with his novelist kind of sidekick, Ghost will make a comment and then say, that's a good line for your next novel. So they're still playing around with this idea of a metafiction kind of idea of a novel within a novel. So it's just been really fun, and I haven't had any trouble reading through it. I'm enjoying the fact that it is on a cruise ship, and a much larger cruise ship than obviously the small steamer in the last novel I read, which was Death on the Nile. So I love that I'm, for some reason, this month reading 2 water traveling books in a row, but they're very different, especially since one book is also written by Christie, who's a British novelist, and Vincent Starrett is American. So I think that plays along on certain reasons why they're different. Even though they're written during the same time, I can tell that this was written by an American. So yeah, I am really pleased so far, and hopefully when I read through the second half, probably tomorrow, if I don't read another chapter tonight, I'll continue to be satisfied when the ending comes. So yeah, I'll keep you updated though. Good night. So I just finished Murder on B Deck, and I want to say that I found the conclusion to be fine. It was fine, and to be honest, it probably was more believable than most, fantastic murder mysteries are when it comes to this particular genre, which is, golden age detective fiction. What's crazy is that so many wild things happened that we were anticipating it to be one of those crazy detective fiction books. For instance, we had the initial murder of the Countess. We then had someone go overboard and die, and so that in itself was a question of, are they connected? Why did this person then die right after she did? We had a fist fight where another person was accused of murder. We had our main detective, Walter Ghost, attacked from behind. There was so much going on. Multiple people were accused, everything going, and yet at the end, the person who ended up being the murderer was someone that I didn't even really know too much about. I don't know, maybe I've just read too many Agatha Christie's where, you're given these prime suspects and, they're all kind of equally discussed, and it's one of them, whereas this person seemed to be too far on the outskirts to even register with me as a reader. Maybe that's my fault and I wasn't paying attention in this book compared to, other detective books. But yeah, I really loved the setup. I loved the metafiction. I really enjoyed Ghost and his kind of quasi Watson character, the novelist, who was probably less help than he was helpful. And I do think I'll probably read more by Starrett in the future, actually, because I'm pretty sure he has other editions that are a part of the Penzler Presents, which I love these copies. And I forgot to mention that because I'm a part of the subscription for these editions through the Mysterious Bookshop, I do get editions that are signed by Otto Penzler, and this one was also signed by the person who gave the introduction, which was Ray Betzner. So I really like that they do that touch as well. You can see the two signatures. And yeah, I'm really happy I read it because I had so much fun. It's just too bad that the ending was believable. Too much like real life, because honestly, I totally could see this happening. It's believable, but it wasn't fantastic, you know? It didn't freak me out about being like, oh my gosh, only one person could have solved this. You know what I mean? I thoroughly enjoyed my week of murder mysteries, and I hope to do it again soon. And there you have it. I read 2 murder mysteries for February thus far, and I want to say that it was a great experience. I loved Death on the Nile. I think I would give it 4 stars, mainly because I enjoyed the characters so much. I felt like I knew so many of them truly, even though there's so many of them to know. And the mystery in itself was classically, you know, very Christie in the fact that there were so many intricate details, and to be honest, Poirot probably could only be the person to actually discover the culprit or culprits involved. So I really, really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I was able to read it before the film, even though I probably won't end up watching it in theaters. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe I actually want to give Death on the Nile 5 stars. The more I think about it, as I'm trying to consider a review for it, I loved the characters. I ended up loving the solution. The Death on the Nile atmosphere and setting were perfect in regards to what I wanted in a travel mystery. I felt like I was in Egypt and on the river with them. And there's no way I would have thought of this solution on my own. So I think I'm going to change it to 5 stars. It's decided. I'm just going to give it 5 stars. It was great. It's something I would reread. Okay, we're done. That's all I want to say. I've changed it to 5 stars. Then with Murder on B-Deck, I am so happy that I've discovered Vincent Starrett. I had never read anything by him before. I really enjoyed getting to know the 2 detectives, the novelist Malik, who is a bit more like Watson than he is Holmes, and then Ghost, who isn't necessarily as methodical as Holmes, but he certainly is a bit more savvy when it comes to detection and deductions. And I also really enjoyed the metafiction. I know I keep mentioning it, but it was just so fun. I feel like any lover of detective fiction would go about thinking in these ways if you happened upon a murder yourself. Hopefully I never have to test that theory. But yeah, I think that the only downfall with that was the solution being almost too simplistic and realistic, especially since the culprit ended up being someone that wasn't really on our radar the entire book. So with that one, I will give it 3 stars. But I really want to try another Starrett book because this one was so fun and I loved all of his characters. So yeah, I would say this was a very successful murder mystery vlog for February. Thank you guys for watching, for spending some of your time with me today. If you are interested in more content, please feel free to check out my other videos. If you want more vlogs, well, then you know that you should like this video, subscribe, and comment below so I know that this is something I should continue doing. Thank you. Have a great day, guys. Bye.